you? Today we're going to review what we have seen in natural science along the second term. So we're going to start with the beginning, the cell. Do you remember the definition of the cell? It is the smallest unit of life, and it is important to remember that it performs the three vital functions. Which are them? Nutrition, interaction, and reproduction. We have to distinguish between unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Which is the difference between both of them? Unicellular organisms are composed of a single cell, one cell, and multicellular organisms are composed of two or more cells. Now, the next thing we saw, it was the levels of organization. The first level was the cell. Lots of cells together form a tissue, which is the second level of organization. A lot of tissue together form an organ, which is the third level of organization. And finally, lots of organs together, for example, the stomach, the esophagus, the large intestine, the small intestine, form a system, which is the last level of organization. In this case, with the organs that I have just mentioned, we will have the digestive system. Now, if we focus on the first level, the cells, we have studied three main different kinds of cells: muscle cells, epithelial cells, and nerve cells. Muscle cells are elongated. Remember, they expand and contract. Epithelial cells are the ones that protect our body. We find them in our skin. And finally, the nerve cells are the ones that send information throughout our body. Now, we're going to focus on the interaction function, which is the main topic that we have analyzed and that we have studied along the second term. There are three main systems that take part in the interaction function: the sensory system, the nervous system, and the musculoskeletal system. In the sensory system, we've got the five senses. In the nervous system, the main parts that take part are the brain and the spinal cord. And in the musculoskeletal system, we have mainly focused on the bones and the muscles. But how does the interaction function work? Well, first of all, it receives the stimulus, which can be either internal or external. Can you think of any of the examples? I'll let you a little bit to think. Yes, for example, in the internal, imagine you've got a headache. Are you receiving that stimulus from the outside of your body or from the inside of your body? Yes, from the inside of your body. So it's an internal stimulus. However, if you hear a noise, are you receiving that information from the outside of your body or from the inside? Exactly, from the outside. So it is an external stimulus. The next step is to process the information. Our brain and our spinal cord, so the nervous system, is in charge of processing that information and sending the response. And finally, we produce the response, and the musculoskeletal system is in charge of carrying out this final step. The response can be either motor or glandular. What is the difference between both of them? In a motor response, you need to move your muscles or your bones, and in the glandular response, instead of moving your muscles or your bones, you produce a substance. For example, imagine you run for an hour. What will be your response? You will start to sweat, So that substance that you produce, it's a response of the exercise that you have done, and it could be a glandular response. Now we're going to focus on the three main systems, and we are going to analyze them in a deeper way. Let's start with the sensory system. It's the one that receives information, and it can do it either from the environment or from our own body. So it can be external if we receive it from our environment, or internal if it's our own body, the one that is sending us the information. We've got 5 different senses that are in charge of receiving that information: smell, taste, sight, touch, and hearing. Let's move on to the nervous system. It receives, interprets, and sends the information, okay? And we've got the brain and the spinal cord, which are the main parts that are involved in the nervous system. Remember that we have studied the main parts of the brain, the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem, and also the spinal cord, which is over here. Now, let's move on to the last system that is involved in the interaction function, the musculoskeletal system. Although the tendons, the ligaments, the joints are also involved, we have mainly focused on the bones and the muscles because we have learned them, all the ones that appear over here. I hope you remember the other day I let you different links to review them, so please try to check on them to see if you're able to remember all the parts of all the bones and all the muscles that we have seen along the second term. Now, the last point we saw, it was related to health and illnesses. First of all, we saw the difference between health and illness, and we saw that there are different types of illness, infectious illnesses and non-infectious illnesses. What is the difference between both of that? Infectious illnesses are the ones that can be spread, and they are caused by microorganisms such as viruses, bacteria, fungi, or protozoa. On the other hand, non-infectious illnesses can't be spread, okay? Several examples are injuries. For example, if you break your leg, if you are next to your sister or your brother, he's not going to, just because you are next to him, he's not going to break his leg. So you cannot spread it, you cannot pass it, okay? Another example is a mental disease. For example, depression. We also saw the factors that influence health, among which we find environment, the personal characteristics, healthcare, and lifestyle. I hope this video has been useful to review what we have seen along the second term. Here, I'm going to also tell you what do I want you to do. Remember, we always start the term using a KWL chart. What I know, what I want to learn, and what I have learned. At the beginning of the term, we completed this part and this one. What we knew in that time, what we wanted to learn, but now we are going to complete this one, okay? What I have learned. So I want you to write over here the things that you have learned along the term. This is going to be the homework for today. This is the end of the video. I hope you have liked it, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.